Welcome to another deep dive. And this one is really fascinating. We're talking Apache water techniques.
Sounds pretty specialized.
It is, but it's amazing what we can learn from it. We've got excerpts from what seems to be some kind of survival guide,
Uh-huh.
all about how to find, purify, even collect water in the desert.
Oh, wow.
But you're interested in this for a different reason, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at it from more of a how the Apache viewed water.
That's right. I'm really interested in their whole philosophy around water and how it sustained them for so long.
For centuries in a really tough environment.
Exactly. I mean, some of the harshest environments out there.
Yeah. And they thrived.
Yeah.
Like, did you know that they, used to use cacti locations and animal tracks to find hidden springs?
That's incredible, yeah.
It's amazing.
It speaks to their deep connection with nature.
Exactly. It's like, can you imagine having that kind of, in-tune-ness?
That level of observation is really remarkable.
So I guess at the core of this is that the Apache really viewed water as sacred.
Absolutely.
It wasn't just, a resource. It was a life-giving force and very tied to their spirituality.
Totally central to their survival, yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into some of the specifics. What really jumped out at you from these techniques?
Well, their ability to read the landscape was really incredible. Like they would, the source material describes how they look for very specific plants as indicators,
Oh, like what kind of plants?
like cottonwoods, willows,
Okay.
things that need a lot of water to survive. So if you see them thriving, there's a good bet there's water nearby.
Like in arid regions especially, that would be a big giveaway. It's like nature's giving you a signal.
Right.
Hey, water's here?
Exactly.
So cool.
And they went beyond just plants.
Okay.
They would also analyze the terrain,
Yeah.
looking for formations that could trap moisture
Oh.
or, dry riverbeds where water might be flowing beneath the surface.
Ah, okay. So not obvious water.
Exactly.
But you could tell by the way things looked. There's even a story in here about two Apache, Lahore and Kai. Yeah. Traveling through the desert. And Lahore is teaching Kai, the younger one, how to find water.
Right. Lahore the elder.
Yeah. By noticing these really subtle signs.
Yeah.
What did they find?
Well, like you said, they found moisture near cacti that were growing near rock outcrops
Okay.
because rocks retain that moisture. They also found water in a seemingly dry riverbed.
Wow.
They dug down a little bit and sure enough, there was water there.
So it's not just intuition.
Right.
It's also real knowledge about how nature works.
Exactly.
Amazing.
So they were turning observation into a survival skill.
So cool. What other techniques did they use?
Well, they were amazing trackers,
Okay.
and they would often look for converging animal trails.
Oh, the animals know where the water is?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially trails leading down into valleys or canyons.
Oh, so they're heading for the low spots where the water would collect.
Right.
So clever. It's like the animals are leading them to water without even knowing it.
And their understanding of bird behavior was impressive. Birds obviously need water too, particularly in the desert.
Of course.
So they would watch the birds to see where they were flying.
To locate hidden springs or oases or things like that. Exactly. Would have thought of that. That's amazing.
Right. And what's really cool is that these methods, they're still relevant today.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be outdated.
No, not at all. Modern geographic surveys, for example, they use a lot of the same principles,
Oh, interesting.
like understanding the terrain, the vegetation, even animal behavior.
Huh. It's still useful information.
Yeah, especially in challenging environments.
It's a reminder that sometimes the oldest knowledge is still the best.
And that we need to understand local ecosystems.
Yeah, we can't just rely on technology all the time.
Right. Now, finding water is one thing, but making sure it's safe to drink, that's another challenge.
Oh, yeah. You don't just drink out of any puddle you find. So how did they test their water?
They didn't have, fancy tools or anything.
Oh.
Their primary tools were their senses.
Oh, interesting.
They relied heavily on sight, smell, and even taste.
Wait, they tasted the water?
Only after visual and olfactory inspection.
Oh, okay.
So, they'd look for cloudy or murky water, which could harbor contaminants, and, they'd avoid any water that had a strong or foul odor.
Yeah, makes sense. That could indicate harmful substances.
Right. So those basic observations, even though we have water testing kits today, they're still relevant.
I mean, yeah, if you're out hiking and you come across a stream, you're going to, look at it.
Exactly.
Maybe give it a sniff before you just, start drinking out of it.
Absolutely. Those instincts are still with us.
Yeah, it's, hardwired.
Ah.
It's fascinating how that ancient knowledge still informs us today.
And it speaks to that fundamental connection between humans and water.
Totally.
Yeah.
So they found their water, they've checked it out. What's next?
Well, they knew that even if water looks and smells okay, it might need further purification.
Oh, okay.
They were masters of filtration.
They had filters. Like, what did they make filters out of?
They used readily available materials,
Yeah.
like sand, gravel, charcoal.
Okay. I actually read in here that they would use a hollowed out log
Yes.
or a clay pot to hold the filtering materials. It's like DIY water filtration.
Right.
That's so cool.
They understood the importance of layering as well.
Oh, okay.
So, like putting coarser materials at the bottom, like gravel, and then finer materials like sand and charcoal on top.
Oh, so the water slowly trickles through.
Exactly, and it gets cleaner and cleaner as it goes.
That's amazing. It's the same principle that modern filters use.
It is.
They were way ahead of their time. And those techniques are still being used today, right?
Yeah. A lot of NGOs use similar methods to provide safe water in developing countries.
Oh, wow. That's amazing that it's still so effective. So we've got finding water, testing it, filtering it. What other techniques did they have?
They got even more creative than that.
Okay.
They learned how to, like, harvest water from unexpected sources,
Big what?
like the air.
The
They were
air.
masters at building dew traps.
Wait, they collected dew, but it's a desert.
Right. But they understood that even in a desert, there's moisture in the air,
Oh.
especially at night.
Okay.
And they developed ways to capture that.
Tell me everything about dew traps. I am hooked.
Okay, well, there were a few different techniques. One way involved creating a conical structure woven from, like, grasses, reeds,
Okay.
and they would position this structure so that it caught the cool night air.
Okay.
And as the temperature dropped, the moisture in the air would condense on those cool surfaces
Oh.
and then drip down into a container at the bottom.
Oh, that is so smart.
Right. It's like a natural condenser.
A natural water condenser.
All right.
Were there other kinds of dew traps too?
Yeah. There was also the ground dew trap.
Okay.
They'd use something like a flat stone or a piece of wood and cover it with animal hide or cloth.
Okay.
And that material would absorb the moisture overnight, and then they could wring it out.
Oh, that's so simple.
But effective.
It is. They were like squeezing water out of thin air.
Right.
That's incredible. And this is still relevant today, right?
Absolutely. Researchers are now looking at ways to improve dew collection.
Oh, wow.
There are designs for large-scale dew collectors, and some communities are already using these methods as, like, supplemental water sources.
Wow. It's like tradition meets innovation.
Right.
Okay. So we talked about finding water, testing it, filtering it. We've got dew collection. What else?
Well, they also use the power of the sun
Oh, solar energy.
to purify water.
Oh.
They built solar stills
Oh, okay.
long before modern science caught up.
Right. So they didn't have like fancy materials. What did they use?
They would use things like animal hides or large leaves
Oh, okay.
to cover a shallow pit filled with water. And as the sun heated the water, it would evaporate and condense on the underside of that covering.
And then drip down as purified water.
Exactly.
Oh, that is so clever. It's so simple. And we still use this today.
Absolutely. From emergency preparedness to desalination projects.
Wow. Solar stills are providing clean water all over the place. It's like this perfect blend of ancient wisdom and modern tech.
Exactly. And, these techniques, they weren't just about survival.
Yeah.
They were really woven into their cultural and spiritual practices.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So we've looked at the practical stuff. Now let's get into the deeper meaning behind all of this.
I was looking through the source material, and it talks a lot about the Apache creation myths.
Oh, okay.
And water plays a big role in them.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, there's this recurring theme of water being the origin of life
Okay.
and a source of purification.
Makes sense.
There are stories of water spirits,
Okay.
shaping the world, bringing life back to barren landscapes.
I mean, it makes sense. Water is essential for all life, so it's natural that it would be at the heart of these creation stories.
Right, and the Apache believe that water has this, like, unique power
Oh.
to wash away negativity and to restore balance to the world.
Wow. It's like a cleansing force.
Exactly.
It reminds me of some of the rituals we talked about earlier, like the blessing way ceremony,
Yes.
where water is used for purification and healing.
Right. It's not just about, quenching your thirst.
Right.
It's about connecting to something much deeper.
It's spiritual.
Exactly.
Wow. So they believed in actual water spirits.
Oh, yeah.
Like beings.
Yeah. Powerful beings who could control the weather,
Oh.
heal the sick, and even bring misfortune if they were disrespected.
Okay, so there's a healthy dose of fear there, too.
Right. You have to respect the power of water.
respect the water spirits.
Exactly.
I mean, I can see how those beliefs would instill a deep respect for water. You know, it's like recognizing both the life-giving and the potentially destructive aspects of it.
Absolutely. And these water spirits weren't just like abstract ideas, you know. They were associated with specific places, springs, rivers, lakes.
So like those places became sacred.
Yeah. Exactly. And honoring those places and the spirits that dwelled within them was crucial to ensuring the continued flow of water
Oh.
and the well-being of the community.
So it's all connected.
Yeah.
It's like a whole worldview, a way of life.
It really is. And, you know, these stories, they're not just ancient history.
Right.
They have relevance for us today,
Oh, absolutely.
especially when you think about climate change, water scarcity, pollution.
Yeah, we're facing some serious water challenges.
We are.
And I think we can learn a lot from the Apache perspective
I agree.
about respecting water and understanding our connection to it.
It's about rediscovering that sense of responsibility.
Responsibility, yeah. Not just taking it for granted.
Exactly.
So what can we do? How do we integrate this Apache water wisdom into our modern lives?
Well, I think education is key.
Okay.
We need to teach our children about the value of water
Hmm.
and the importance of conservation.
Yeah, but not just in a boring textbook way.
No, exactly.
And we need to make it engaging, bring those Apache stories to life.
Right. Imagine like incorporating those water myths into school curriculums.
Yes.
Or creating interactive exhibits at museums.
Oh, I love that idea.
And community engagement is also important.
Okay.
Think workshops on rainwater harvesting, guided nature walks,
Okay.
focused on water sources, even community art projects
Right.
inspired by those Apache symbols.
So finding ways to like connect people to water in their own community.
Exactly. Creating a sense of shared responsibility.
That's beautiful. It reminds me of a line from the source material that really stuck with me.
Or was it?
It said, "Imagine the impact if we adopted even a bit of the Apache mindset towards water."
That's powerful.
It is, right? And it makes me think it's not about becoming Apache.
Right.
It's about taking inspiration from their wisdom
Exactly.
and applying it to our own lives.
And our own challenges.
So what are some small changes we can make?
Well, we can be more mindful of our water usage at home.
Okay, how?
Simple things like fixing leaky faucets, taking shorter showers, choosing water-efficient appliances.
Okay, those are all doable.
Right. And supporting policies that promote water conservation.
Oh, yeah, the bigger picture stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Protecting our water sources.
It's got to be both, right?
It does.
Individual action and systemic change.
We need both.
Working together.
Yeah. Remember, the Apache, they thrived for centuries.
Right.
In a really challenging environment.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
And they did it by working with nature.
Right, not against it.
Exactly.
They understood that water is a precious gift, and they honored it.
And by honoring it, they ensured its availability for future generations.
Yeah, that's sustainability.
It is.
Thinking long term.
Right. It's not about depriving ourselves.
Then
It's about finding that balance.
yeah.
Between our needs and the needs of the planet.
And the needs of future generations.
Exactly.
Wow. This has been an eye-opening conversation.
It has.
It's really shifted my perspective on water.
What stood out to you the most?
I think it's the profound respect that the Apache had for water. They saw it as more than just a resource.
Right.
It was like a living entity, almost like a relative.
Yes. That's a fundamental part of their worldview.
Yeah. They believed in water spirits. They had all these rituals.
The ceremonies, the song.
Honoring water.
It was woven into their entire culture.
And they didn't just talk about respecting water. They lived it.
They did.
You know, their techniques for finding it, purifying it, conserving it, it's all a testament to their deep understanding of nature.
And those techniques, as we've seen, have lessons for us today.
Absolutely.
They offer a blueprint for living in harmony with water, even in the face of these modern challenges.
So as we wrap up, what's the one thing you want listeners to take away from this deep dive into Apache water wisdom?
It's about shifting our perspective.
Yeah.
You know, if we could even just move a little bit towards that Apache view
Okay.
of water as a relative.
A relative, okay.
A living being that deserves our respect.
Yeah.
Imagine how that would change things.
That's a powerful thought.
It is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from all of this?
You know, it's really inspiring to think about how the Apache thrived in such a harsh environment
Right.
using, relatively simple methods.
Right.
And if they could do that,
Yeah.
imagine what we could achieve.
With all of our technology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If we really embraced that
mindset.
of respect and resourcefulness.
Yeah. It's a challenge.
It is.
But it's also hopeful.
It is.
It's like we can do this.
We can.
If we choose to.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
It is. And it starts with that shift in perspective.
Yeah.
Seeing water as more than just a commodity.
Right, right.
And recognizing that we have a responsibility.
To care for it.
To care for it, to protect it.
Yeah.
To honor it.
Yeah. Well, this has been amazing.
It has.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
It's really opened my eyes to a whole new way of thinking about water.
That's great to hear.
And I hope our listeners feel the same way.
I hope so, too.
So, to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep learning.
Keep those deep dives going.
And keep that Apache water wisdom in mind.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive.